Hey, what's up? Alasdair Cunningham here. And listen, on this week's show, I've got Ben Rumer. And Ben Rumer is a property net millionaire. And I cannot take credit for that because he's done that before we even met. But what I have done is I've helped him grow that and develop it and become even more successful. So Ben, welcome on board.
Hi, Alasdair. Thanks so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Just say hi. Tell everyone who you are, what you do, and where you're from.
Yeah, hi everyone. So, as Alasdair said, my name's Ben Rumer. I'm based down south in the Portsmouth area, and I invest kind of along the south coast. So I've got a portfolio of buy-to-let and service accommodation. It's mostly an owned portfolio created by the buy refurbish method, which Alasdair teaches.
Yeah.
And I'd say in the last couple of years, I've pretty much doubled my portfolio of the number of properties I own.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is down to motivation from the training which I've received.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are watching this. You're a young lad. How old are you?
Me? I don't know if I look my age. You know, I'm 36.
36. All right. Yeah. So I'm 40. So you look a bit younger than me. What you are. So as a 36-year-old, property millionaire net. You've got a net portfolio of over £1 million last time you spoke.
The portfolio value is somewhere between 2.6 and 3, depending on the value of the current block.
So, £2.5 million property portfolio, but equity. I remember we spoke. It was in excess of 7 figures, which is awesome. That's a big achievement.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, you look like nah.
I feel like I've got a long way to go. You know, I look up to people who are kind of multi-millionaires.
Yeah, but
run huge
there'll
empires,
be people here watching this that have not even got one deal, and they'll be looking up to you. So remember, everyone's always looking up to you at some point. You're inspiring somebody. Yeah. So it doesn't matter where you want to go. You've always got to look behind because you're inspiring somebody to take that leap. So what's your background? Because you've not always been a property millionaire. So what's your background?
Kind of quite typical. So from school straight through college, university, I studied architecture. I worked in London for a number of years. Yeah. And I actually started investing in property in a quite boring way, buying buy-to-lets
like
on the
traditional
way, kind of saving deposits. We did do essentially a buy refurb on a couple of houses that we owned, which is a great way to raise equity and take that out with a remortgage, use that to purchase more property, and it spirals. Yeah.
So basically, you bought your first property as a buy-to-let, and then but you were doing it traditionally. You save up a big deposit, buy a buy-to-let. Hopefully, it will go up in value, which it will over time. But you want it to go up as value as quick as possible, so you can refinance it and then reuse that deposit.
Yeah.
And then you moved into the actual buying properties that need a little bit of a refurb. But you do a lot of the work yourself, don't you?
I did. Now I'm taking on a lot more contractors, and I'm enjoying the work less and less as other people do it.
But, okay. Because I know I've been to sort of film in a couple of your properties, and you were doing a lot of the work yourself, and that's great because I truly believe you cannot systemize anything until you've done it yourself. Because then you know what has to happen, and you also know when somebody's taking advantage of you. So okay, architect by background, working in London, saving up your money, like. Were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth? Did you have loads of money?
No, I mean I was brought up in a terraced house in Portsmouth. Normal family. When we bought the first property, we borrowed £10,000 from my parents, which went towards it. Saved for rest.
So one of the things, I want to just capitalize on this in a minute because and just explain this a little bit more in detail. Is obviously you've got a property portfolio worth £2.5 million by minimum. And there's a huge chunk of equity there. Yeah. But sometimes cash is not always there. Because although you've got the rental income, you've got, like, let's say first world problems. Let's say you've got growing problems where sometimes you're having to borrow money from investors to do deals because your cash is tied up in refurbs, it's tied up in purchases, and some of the deals you're doing require a lot of cash. So I just want to explain that. Like, don't be sitting there thinking, well, Ben's property millionaire, he's loaded, he's got loads of cash in the bank. That's not necessarily the truth. The truth is he's got assets and equity, but sometimes cash can always be the thing that's stopping you moving to the next deal. So you then have to learn how to find cash. Yeah. And you've done that very well.
I mean, it's all about taking your investments and turning them into a business. That's what
100%.
So
100%.
My portfolio worked brilliantly when myself and my partner were both working. We had 2 full-time salaries, plus a little bit from buy-to-let here and there. When I gave up work to try and manage that full-time,
and you were on a good income.
Yeah. I mean, around 40,000 a year.
Okay, so
it's gone up and down.
But you gave up a 40k a year income, which will affect your lending capability for mortgages.
Yeah, I mean that was a few years ago. But yeah, so it does affect it. But with buy-to-let, as you know, you don't really need a big income to actually. It can be minimal. In fact, you can use property income. In some cases. Yeah. But yeah, so we looked at. I basically took training, some of Alasdair's training. I started on some other training, and I learned basically strategies to increase my cash flow. Yeah. So service accommodation, a little bit of deal selling. Yeah. I've looked into the HMOs and obviously flips, investor finance as well.
It's just really interesting. Like, you know, people say, well, you're already successful in property, you don't need training. It's just categorically not true. You know, I was at a networking event last week in, where was it, Adam? Leeds, okay? So I go to and I support the Property Deal Network. He runs networking events all over the country, around 20 a month actually, and he runs them in Europe and Dubai. And I go to these events quite often, and I was there speaking to a very seasoned property investor, very much like you, traditional, buy-to-lets, traditionally. And then he had like an aha moment. He's like, look, Alasdair, I've heard about this SA, this service accommodation market. What's that all about? And I started explaining to him what it was. And he's like, wow, so you can teach an old dog new tricks. And he's really like, wow, he didn't realize that. He thought the only way was typical. And the thing is, you had a great portfolio making great income, but now it just makes more income because you're not too arrogant to learn, shall we say. I mean, even though you come from an architectural background, you know a lot about property, you're already a seasoned property investor, but sometimes some things you just don't know. I
left my job, so I was made redundant in the first lockdown in pandemic from my company. So I should have taken that step myself, probably before I did, but I was forced to go and look at strategies to increase the income from my portfolio. And I've done that, and I enjoy it. And we've now started a surface accommodation management business for my property, so we're turning them into holiday lets. And particularly the ones based in Portsmouth and Southsea, they're doing really, really well. And
are these the existing buy-to-lets you had?
Some, yes.
So as the tenants moved out, you didn't kick any tenants out just to get that right.
No.
As they left on their own free will, instead of you going down the single let buy-to-let route again, you said, okay, let's put a bit of money into them and make them nice and put some furniture in there and decorate them, do whatever you have to do. Not that they weren't nice in the first place, but obviously with SA you have to go that little bit. You have to put dressing and all that sort of stuff in there. So you've done that, and then you start putting them as SAs. What's the increase that you've seen from SA rent income to buy-to-let income? On just one example.
So I've got a 2-bedroom house, for example, and at the moment it would be rented probably a maximum of 900 a month as a buy-to-let. As an SA, it can make...
On average,
about 2,000 a month.
£2,000 income per month. Yeah. After you've had all your costs go out, how much profit would you be left with?
So, around 1,500.
Wow. So 1,500 quid, whereas before you were getting £900 a month income. On the buy-to-let and £900 income, what profit's on that roughly?
It's still a good profit because the tenants cover the bills.
So all you've got is your mortgage and insurances?
Basically,
so you're making £500-600 a month?
Yeah, but there's obviously tax on that as well, and holiday lets are taxed differently. Yeah. So that's another benefit.
So like the benefit is it's taxed differently, but also the benefit is the increased cash flow.
Yeah.
The benefit is they're not tenants, they're guests.
And one thing for me, I actually enjoy it. So I'm starting a business, and it's a hospitality business. So I set them up like hotel rooms, and I enjoy creating a nice place for people to stay. Yeah. It makes it more fun than just bog standard buy-to-lets. I mean, I always looked after the tenants, but there's only so much you can do with them. So,
it's the thing I'm looking to do. So as my HMOs empty, so I've got multiple HMOs, and as they empty, and if they're in the right area, I'm looking to make them into room-by-room service accommodation units for contractors. Because, again, I'm not going to sit here and say I like the hospitality side of it. I don't. I won't be doing it. I'll be systemising that and getting that managed. what I like from it is the increased income that it creates. So like one of my properties, for instance, makes £3,700 a month income from a HMO.
Yeah.
But as an SA, it would go from making £3,700 to making about £7,000.
Yeah.
Because of the increased occupancy, the increased nightly rate. Obviously the costs also go up. So when I say £7,000 income, that's not profit. But the profit will be very high. Like you're talking £4,000 or £5,000 profit a month, like from one property. I just secured a property yesterday, which is a 4-bedroom penthouse in Leeds city centre.
Wow.
It's beautiful and it's fully furnished. It's boutique and it is beautiful inside. It's been fully furnished to high-end standard. Now the rent is a little bit high. It's just over £2,000 a month. But the nightly rate is about £300 to £350 a month, a night.
So a property like that, you don't really, with all respect, you don't really want ordinary tenants in there. You want guests and you want it to be serviced, cleaned, maintained every week or every few days as those guests come and go.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's looked after to a 5-star standard.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the biggest benefits to a landlord. You look after it to a 5-star standard. So when you're selling yourself to a landlord, why they should allow you to do rent to rent, that's a prime example. One of the biggest objections, I met with an estate agent the other day, and they're a regional office for a national chain, and they're a very high-end national chain, and I met one of the regional managers, lovely guy and a lovely woman that we were working with. I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want all you lot contacting them, and we sold them on the idea of service accommodation.
Yeah.
They were very against it because they've had a lot of bad experience, very against it. Like in the sense of they would not even entertain a conversation. I had to sell myself and the idea to them over the phone, which finally led to a meeting. And I went and had a 2.5-hour meeting with them. And the result of that meeting is we've already got 2 deals from them.
That's amazing.
Now they're a regional managed company for a national chain. If one allow it, they will start talking to everyone else, and then we'll become the approved partner.
It's very interesting you say that, because I know a few people at a national chain, a good national chain, and they've said that it's kind of their standard to say no to company or corporate lets. So that includes rent to rents.
Yes.
But if you can speak to someone higher up or change someone's mind, then it's brilliant.
It's flood doors been open.
Yeah.
And the reality is, when we were chatting to this lady, all we were getting objections. Well, we can't gain access to the property. We can't do this. We can't do that. We can't do this. And I'm like, okay, you can have access to every property 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day because that's when the cleaners go in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We look after the property better than your tenants will look after the property because we have cleaners go in every time a guest leaves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maintenance, and we showed them photographs of what we do, and they're like, wow, I didn't realise that. And then they showed us photographs of properties that have been left by previous rent-to-renters, and they've trashed the place. So no wonder they're against it. Your job is to sell them, and I know your properties are high-end, I know they're beautiful, they're boutique, and that's why you're getting deals left, right and centre. I
mean, for myself, most of mine are owned, but I have experimented with rent to rent. I've got one, quite a nice boutique studio apartment right next to the seafront, which does really, really well. It's fully booked in January, so with the right deal, it's fantastic, but it's a no-brainer to me. Even as a landlord, I've sold rent to rent contracts on my properties because it's constant maintenance, constant cleaning, and when I go back into my properties that are service accommodation and I look at them, they're immaculate compared to one. So I've just had 2 tenants move out of one of mine. The loveliest people, but there are 2 leaks in the roof which they hadn't reported, penetrating damp, and they just didn't say anything, so we couldn't fix it. Hob's broken. It's
so these little things.
And if you've got a cleaner going in every few days, they'll tell you.
They'll find these little things.
More hassle with management maybe, but it's definitely better.
It's like with any business, you've got your pros and you've got your cons. You've got your good and your bad, right? You have to, as the business owner, make an educated, logical decision about are the risks worth it for the reward? That's what it's about, okay? So anyway, that's your SA business. You're also a very successful property portfolio owner. You've just done a really good deal.
I have,
Very exciting deal. It's probably your biggest deal to date.
It is, yeah.
Come on, tell me about that. Like, tell everyone about that particular deal.
Okay, so we call it...
I want to digest it a little bit, right? So I'll ask the question.
So I've been calling it what we call a power property. So it's going to profit in, I think it was three or four different ways. So it's a buy refurbish.
Yeah.
It's a block of 4 separate units.
So it's a one property with 4 separate units inside, so it's an apartment block.
Yeah, it was a mansion house at some point, and it's been converted over the years into 4 flats with planning permission, but not title split yet.
Okay, so it's a big block, 4 units, 1 title.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we purchased that. It's fully let.
How much did you purchase
Tenants
it for?
in situ, 685,000.
£685,000 purchase price. Tenants in situ.
And it was advertised at 735.
735.
So it's already below market value.
It's already below what they're advertising it at. Now let me ask you a question before we move on. How did you fund that deal? Because that's a big deposit and that's a big purchase price.
I actually done 2 flips last year. So whereas normally I would have kept the last house I'd done, remortgaged it, we sold it and put all of that profit into that deal.
And how much was that profit?
So that made between 80 and 90,000.
So that 80 to 90,000 went into this new deal. But it's 700 and how much did you buy it for? 685.
Yeah.
What deposit did you require for 685?
So it would have been 25%.
And sorry, is that on a buy-to-let or is it on a bridge?
Yeah, so it's what's called a multi-unit buy-to-let mortgage because it came with tenants in situ.
Okay.
They were just paying below market value rent, which is why it was a less attractive deal to other landlords.
Okay, so 685 purchase, 25% deposit.
Yeah.
25% deposit of 685 is approximately 160,000.
So we actually put in 172 because the surveyor came back and valued it at 680, which is fine. They looked at some odd comparables, but we were happy anyway.
Right.
So we put in an extra $5,000 basically.
Okay, so your total cash investment so far was how much?
So it was 172 for deposit, and then we had about, I think it was 24 of stamp duty.
Okay, so about 190, let's say.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't have to be exact to the pound.
198. It was 198.
198. So 200k you've put into this
basically,
deal.
yeah.
Like, don't get pedantic about the pounds. It's approximate, okay? It's about 200,000.
Yeah.
680 purchase. You're 200k in.
Yeah.
You used the money from the previous sale, and then where did that's 90 grand. So where did the other 110 come from?
So some of that money was investor finance as well.
Yeah.
I've taken loans from family. Earlier that year, I took some loans from friends and we actually flipped a property on a bridging loan together.
Right.
So it's a combination of flipping 2 properties last year,
Pay attention, guys.
remortgages, and beg, borrow, not steal.
Yeah, beg, borrow, and not steal.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Look at the hustle.
But honestly, yeah.
This is what I'm trying. I don't just want to blasé over it. I want to actually digest it. I want to get to the point of how did you raise the £200,000 you needed, because you didn't have £200,000 in the bank. So you had to find 200 grand. And the way he done that was a refinance from one property, the profits from a sale of one property, and then beg, borrow, not stealing, to get the money from other investors. So you got to pull off other people.
And I'll be very honest. So I sold myself, but I created a brand and almost.
Well, if the deal's good
why
enough.
not? Yeah, why not? Get the money where you can, right? So I created a brand. I had a portfolio before I took investment from other people and some investment from family as well.
Time out, stop. Right, okay, listen to this, because what you're doing is amazing. So many people will be watching this and they'll be wanting to do these massive deals before they've done anything.
Yeah.
They will. I see this all the time.
Walk before you can run.
I see this all the time. They come to me and they're, Alasdair, I've never done anything. I've not even got a little 2-bed terrace, but I want to buy this 800 grand property.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop. Time out. Pause. But you've done it perfectly. You're already positioned.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Credible.
I mean, bear in mind, I have experience, I've got assets,
architect.
and I'm a qualified architect, or I trained and became an architect. So I'm not even taking on land developments and bigger deals. I mean, I could probably be pushing myself harder in that way. Yeah. Sometimes I'm too hard on myself, but start with smaller deals. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that, guys. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to do a massive deal as your first deal, stop right now. Because you will mess it up and you will lose or more importantly, you'll lose somebody else a lot of money. right? And I see so many people that have done no training, that have got no education, that have got no experience, trying to do these multi-million-pound deals because they've read a book or because they've attended a free event somewhere.
Yeah.
No, walk before you can run. And that's the reason why I stopped you there abruptly, and I'm really sorry for that.
No, you didn't.
Is because what you made was a very good point about how you positioned yourself with all these little deals, these 100 grand, 200 grand deals, all these little deals, so that you're credible, you're asset rich, you're already a property millionaire, you've got the authority, you've got the position, and you've got the investors that trust you, hence why you can now do the bigger deal.
Yeah. So that deal itself, thank you, I appreciate that. And I know you've done a very similar thing with your own portfolio.
Yeah, that's how I raise finance, because people trust me, because I've done the little stuff already. All right, okay, so you've got this house, 680 purchase price, still got tenants in there, you're now complete. What's the plan to do? What's the plan, the big plan with this property?
Yeah, so we've purchased this, as I said, a one mortgage, multi-unit, buy-to-let mortgage, freehold block mortgage. 4 different units, so option 1 is we need to start refurbishing. So I've got contractors, we've got scaffold up now to refurbish the outside.
When you say refurbish, what needs doing? Is it a case of just a lick of paint, or is it actually some serious work going on?
It's a bit more, so some repointing, it might need some panels replacing in the windows, fascia boards, things like that. It would need parking at the front, so just kind of a complete overhaul.
Yeah.
And then inside, maybe some new kitchens and bathrooms, flooring,
So you're doing one apartment at a time, really, or as the tenants move out? And
luckily, our tenants gave notice a few weeks ago, so they will be leaving in February.
All of them?
No, just one of them so far, which is, that actually suits me, because I get free incomes while that's empty. When that's finished, I can look to see if anyone else is ready to leave. So basically, when that tenant moves out, you're going to completely gut their property, refurb it. Exactly.
And then what's the plan with that? You're going to refinance that unit, or are you going to wait until all 4 have been done?
So the idea in the long term is to turn them all into high-end service accommodation, because it actually used to be a guest house, which is the real beauty of it. It's in a prime area of Southsea, about 3 minutes walk from the beach, near a place called Canoe Lake. It's really, really beautiful street.
Yeah.
So to turn them all into luxury holiday lets. But for now, I need to refurbish each one and either title split and onto new mortgages.
Yeah.
So that could be a mixture of buy-to-let or sui generis, holiday let and buy-to-let. Or it could be one new commercial mortgage as a commercial asset, so the whole block as holiday lets.
The great thing being is you've got lots of options.
Yeah.
You're not stuck on one. So, okay, let's say everything's done, right? Give it a year's time or 2 years' time. Everything's done. All the work's been done. You bought it for 680. How much are you going to have to spend to completely refurb top to bottom across all apartments, interior and exterior?
I'd say it's not a massive amount, to be honest, because it's not structural work so far anyway. So
10 grand a unit?
Maximum. Some of them, the top unit will be, because we're moving the kitchen.
Fine.
The other units, some will be less. Some of them have got relatively good kitchens. They're just tight.
So as an average,
floorings.
As an average.
So it'll be between probably 5 and 10
per unit.
Yeah.
So let's just say worst case, it's 40k, including all the communal areas and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're 680, then you're 40k in, plus all your legal stamp and all that sort of stuff. So you're what's that? 60 plus 40. Let's say you're 750 in. How much was stamp?
It was 20. Just over 20, between 20 and 24. We got a multi-unit relief on it. Okay,
so basically 680 plus 25 stamp.
Yeah.
So we're now at 705 plus any borrowing costs. That's a couple of grand, whatever. So realistically, your total investment is going to be around 760,000 pound there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I'd say maximum.
Yeah, maximum. Yeah, like we don't have to be exact with numbers. It's very much ballpark figure.
Because of my background, I'm very good at sourcing cheaper materials, at doing certain elements myself, and contracting out the things that I can't do.
Yeah.
So I will make a lot of savings doing that. And that's something I think people should do themselves. When they're starting out, take on work yourself. When you're more experienced, obviously systemize
When you're making more money that you can afford to do it, but at the beginning you've got to sometimes do this. All right, so you're about 760,000 pound in. What would the end value, once everything's been refinanced, what would the end value be done once everything's done?
So all I can do is look at other properties in the area. So a mixture of individual flats and whole houses or blocks.
Yeah.
That street, the most recent sales have been 1.1, 1.2, around.
So you're talking over the million?
Over $1 million. That's for a single house of that the exact same footprint, basically, on that street. As a block, so we've got at the moment 3 1-beds and a 2-bed. So if it stays in that configuration done up, we're talking 200 for the 1-beds and maybe 3. It could be more for a very high standard with a garden.
Is there any way of making the 1-beds into 2-beds?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
So the top floor one particularly has got a large kitchen and a huge lounge diner. So we'll move that kitchen and create a really nice kitchen lounge diner space, and it just becomes a really big 2-bedroom flat.
I mean, it's a very, very interesting deal. What we'll do is we'll help you document that. We'll come down and film there and really showcase it. But realistically, your total money in 750. You're going to spend a little bit of money sorting it out, but it's going to be worth in excess of £1 million, probably 1.1 million. So there's a good couple of £100,000 there. Even if you said worst case, it's $1 million.
Yeah.
You got
even if it was 900,
it doesn't matter. You've still got a lot of frigging money. But
the other thing is, as service accommodation units, each one could make. I mean, if each one made £3,000 a month,
you're talking about 12
prime
one
location,
unit. You're talking about 12 grand a month income.
Even if it's £2,000 a month each unit, it's still a fantastic income from one property. That's a really good salary.
This is ridiculous. One deal. I know it's an expensive deal, but one deal it is literally that could set somebody up for life.
Yeah.
It could, because if somebody watching this has got a couple £100,000 spare and they can invest it in a similar deal, right? They're going to make a couple £100,000 profit on the deal, i.e. equity, once they've refinanced or they've done whatever. And then they've got, if they have 4 SAs, let's say averaging an income of £2,500, £3,000 a month because you know the area. That's not profit. Let's say your costs are £4,000. That's still £8,000 a month net.
Yeah. And
£4,000 a month to run that's fair.
Yeah, it probably won't cost that much, but you can allow that.
Yeah, but look, don't be so pedantic about the pounds and the pennies, okay? Because when the numbers are this big, it don't matter. If it comes in at a value of 900,000, you're still sitting pretty because you own the asset. The asset's only ever going to go up. It's not going to decrease. And if it does decrease, it'll only be very temporarily. It's not going to decrease long term. It's going to increase long term.
I found lately so many people get bogged down in the due diligence.
I know.
And it's a little bit, obviously you need to do it, you need to know your stuff. But I mean, if you know your area first, you'll automatically know that a house at that price on that road, it's going to make you money.
You're talking my language. You're talking so much sense.
I don't mean to insult people at all, with the
not.
utmost respect, but it's
Listen,
just keep it simple. Yeah.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Right, kiss. Okay, keep it simple, stupid. I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just saying.
Not right now. After.
Right. No, but the reality is this. You got to keep it simple because I get so many people come to me and they've spent 3 days doing due diligence on a property, and I'm like, have you phoned the agent?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was going to do it after. Well, I'm like, phone the agent. They ring the agent and it's sold. You've just wasted 3 days of your life.
But do you know where I found this property?
Crazy.
I found it on Rightmove.
Shock.
just there, just sitting there.
You can't find good deals on Rightmove apparently.
I was looking for flats and they didn't know, I assume, how to advertise it. Where it's a block, it doesn't fall as a detached house or a flat.
It's random,
so you had to search, but there it was. Yeah.
People say the deals aren't out there, right? It's crazy. You found that on Rightmove. Yeah. Just last month, I found a property deal, a 3-bed terrace by refinance. 20 minutes away in Derby, for £170,000. So it was on this advertising platform at 185. I messaged the person straight away, got direct to the owner. I went there the next day and offered on it. I got it for 170. I sold it to an investor the same day. 6 hours, total of 6 hours input. Yeah. Right? I made £3,600. Yeah? I didn't buy it myself because I don't want to buy it myself, and because the reason I don't want to buy it myself is because even done up it's only worth 210. So it's not quite enough for me to get all my money back, so I didn't want to do it. It needs a 20 grand, maybe a 20k refurb, 10 to 15k refurb. So you're talking 185, 190 maximum, but it's only worth 210. But I sold it to an investor who's happy with that. That was Facebook Marketplace.
Really?
I found it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
It's crazy, yeah? That wasn't on Rightmove, and that was Facebook Marketplace, and it was direct to vendor. I went, I'd done a deal, got the money, got paid. That's exactly what you're doing. We're finding these deals and we're getting paid.
But I mostly do it for myself. I've sold probably 4 or 5 deals over the last couple of years. But
sourcing's not your main strategy. It's not. It's there for when you want. And that's what I say to everybody. Don't necessarily make sourcing your main strategy, but it's there as a tool in your arsenal, so that if you need to raise 10 grand, to put towards another, let's say you're doing one buy refurb refinance and you want to do another one, and it comes up and you just have to do it. You need to raise 25 grand.
I think I spoke to you just before Christmas. I was this close to selling the one rent to rent I've got to someone else to get an extra 10 grand or something, and potentially another property I've got which is run as an SA, so I could use that extra income to help sort of prop up this deal. Luckily I made it work as it was, and now they're actually making good cash flow again.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah.
But it's something we all consider.
Of course it is, absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with selling your own properties as deals as well. It's still a good deal for someone. It's worked for you, so that works as well.
A lot of people will criticise what you just said there, right? And I'm like, well, look, pay attention, right? You're helping a newbie get on the property market.
Yeah.
You're the landlord, you're the freeholder, you can say what the hell happens in that property, right? And if you want to sell that deal to a newbie who hasn't got 30 grand to invest in property, but they can get together 8 grand, then why wouldn't you help these people?
Well, you're doing a lot of work. You're setting up the contracts.
Yep.
You're potentially furnishing it, redecorating it, maintaining it. It's
you
a
both
normal
win.
Deal. Yeah.
You win because you're getting your rental income. They win because they're making cash flow, and they've got experience from getting on the property ladder. Yeah. As long as that relationship is amicable and it's good, why not do business together?
Yeah.
There's so many people out there that are so negative about property and about rent to rent. Like, you have no clue. Property is about people, and I know a massive thing for you, a massive passion for you is inspiring and helping as many people from any background to do property and business.
Yeah, I mean, I found for me, so my sort of, I suppose, mission outside property, I like to do some charity work and advocacy stuff, is equal rights and human rights.
Yeah.
So I think particularly in the property sector, but also in the construction sector, it can feel very inaccessible to some people. And I just want to open that up, help people just have a conversation, understand that if you're, I suppose, more pro-equality, more accepting, it can actually help your business. If you're employing staff, they'll be happier. People, it's just promotes productivity, but also it's just be nice to people as well.
The property markets does tend to be a very male-dominated, macho sort of industry, and same with the building industry. So, like, man, just be nice to people, because people buy from people, and it's amazing what doors will open for you when you're just nice to people and you just, hey man, how are you doing today? What do you need from me?
Network. I mean,
well, we are actually going to a networking event straight after this.
We are, and that'll be my third one this week.
Oh,
I had 2 on Tuesday.
All right, listen, Ben, how can they get in touch with you?
So my Instagram, Ben Rumer Property, or the Equality Entrepreneur. My service accommodation business, Home Studio Properties, on Instagram is the best way to find me. I am on Facebook as Ben Rumer as well.
We'll stick all the links below, so make sure you connect with Ben. Before we go, Ben, obviously we've worked together through training. I've trained you quite a bit through different things. What's it been like working with me firstly, and also what's it been like working with my training company and doing training programs such as Tell the World?
I think I was already thinking of Tell the World when you said that. So I love Tell the World. It's a life-changing event when you're there. It really is fantastic. It's personal development, pure personal development. Maybe a bit of technical direction.
Not much.
But, in the people you meet, you will make friendships for life as well, and create a community. And you can actually work together within that community. People sell deals to each other and help each other as well. So it's a fantastic network to be involved in, and that's not to mention the new property training which you've been doing as well, which I know has been a real hit.
It's massive. It's been so successful. We just launched a bespoke property training in November, and the results are flooding in. The testimonials are flooding in. The people are loving it because it's the entry for you into your property business, and there is nobody in the United Kingdom offering better value than what we are offering. It's insane. So you can come along, spend a day with me, completely free of charge. You may even meet people like, Ben might be there. You also meet other students that are there. And it doesn't cost you a single penny. There is no pounds to pay, nothing to pay. However, you got to show up. It's no use booking on if you're not going to show up, because that's not how success comes. So the link below is for Property Accelerator. We run these in London, Birmingham and Manchester, and also we go up into Scotland, and we've got them in Glasgow and Edinburgh every 6 months. So get booked on because you're going to be missing out if you don't. My name's Alasdair Cunningham. This is Ben Rumer. Make sure you connect with Ben. Ben, thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Guys, see you next week.
Cheers, guys.